retail media is a buzzing topic, and for good reason. It's no longer just this niche channel of my trade investment or the thing I have to do with Amazon or the thing I have to do with Walmart. It is becoming something that has completely disrupted the marketing funnel and is influencing at every stage of that funnel to drive that purchase decision. But it's just not about what retail media can do for the brand. It is about how it can work with your digital shelf. If the two things are not working together, your brand will not be cohesive, it won't be discoverable, and it won't be compelling. So it really is about how it all works together. It's about how your ad, your product detail pages, your pricing, and your reviews really make it this one cohesive retail flywheel. I could go on about this topic, but again, they only gave me 20 minutes. So I'm going to break it down to kind of just 3 really core areas that I think will give you guys some very tangible things. If at the minimum, it isn't something that you can influence, but it is something that you can partner across the aisle with the team that does. So first is really about discoverability. That irregardless of whether you're going to pay to play or you want to rank organically, it is about if the shopper can find you. So I'm going to play this through in kind of a real life scenario so you can understand how the two things play together. So first, what you see here is all of the paid placements. Where can I pay to play? Power Crunch, in this particular instance, is trying to gain that top of search or that share of shelf in a paid fashion. They're spending $3 a click to do that against a healthy kids snack bar. You take that same example, same paid placements, you've slightly adjusted that keyword string, and now you've got a brand like Make Good who is what we call earning it, meaning it isn't just about how you can pay to play in that space. It is about how those two things come together, and you can earn that organic ranking to help then drive your paid conversion lift. So in this particular instance, you can see an upwards of a 20% lift when those two things are working together, meaning that I am not trying to just pay to get that share of shelf. I'm trying to use, as Spencer talked about, my organic relevancy to drive my conversion. And so the two things together is really what we call the magic. So great, you're discoverable, people can find you, but now you've got this very cluttered marketplace. You've got tons of people that are bidding in the auction. You've got tons of other brands that are also bidding on those same keywords. So how do you stay ahead of the competition? In this example, you can see that Nature's Recipe is owning that paid placement. They've got the first spot and the 4th and 5th spot. Nutrish, on the other hand, is only taking up 1/5 of that real estate. But they win the click. And they win the click not because they have more share of shelf, but because price matters. They are not paying as much to rank in that first spot, but they're using price to their advantage in this equation. They're a lower cost per pound than Nature's Recipes, so they win that click. But it isn't just about earning the click, it's about earning the sale. So now we're on their detail page. And it isn't just about that real estate you own before the click, it's about owning the real estate after the click. So you can see in this example, they've landed on the detail page, but they haven't let a competitor come in and start to push their consideration. So in this situation, Nutrish is able to convert the sale because they've used both what they were able to drive on the pre-click, if you will, and what they're able to then deliver on the post-click. So really thinking about how these things all play together and mapping that out really helps you to secure what we call, that multi-touch point to secure the conversion and sale. Okay, so you're competitive, you're visible, now what? So it's about how you convert the sale. So Memorial Day weekend is coming up, and one of my favorite snacks for Memorial Day weekend is potato chips and French onion dip. So I've gone on to Albertsons here, and I have typed in French onion dip, and I'm looking and perusing all the different options that I have available. And I can see here in the results, about halfway down the first page, no image. This is for Dean's French dip. They have a great share of the category. They are highly competitive in the space if you were to simply look at it from a brick and mortar sales share of shelf perspective. But I'm not going to click on this. I don't know what I'm clicking on. And so you have to ensure before you go spend $1 in retail media that your content is optimized. We've seen so many brands say, I need to invest in retail media. The two teams are not working together, so they're not working with their content syndication team or their digital shelf team to say, when is my content ready? And it's not just about it being ready, it's about it being, again, it's contextual, it's both the contextual and the context of that search. So I click and I land here. So this is not the experience that you obviously want as a brand or as a consumer. Now let's go back to the same search results. So now I'm looking at the same thing. Who won the click in this situation? Lay's. So Lay's, once, not only are they obviously at the top of those results, but when I click on their content, I've got a breadth of content to give me all of the details of why I should convert. And so in these situations, even if you can win the click, but you don't have your PDP optimized, you're going to lose the share. And ultimately, what CPGs in this space are most at the forefront of their mind is how do I gain an incremental consumer, an incremental household to my brand? So the difference between winning the click and the sale can really come at the price of the loss of share and that new to brand consumer. So really when we talk about what is that winning formula, so I've got here the results page for hot sauce on Walmart, and this is the sort of what generates in the results page. I've got my paid placements in green there. And then I've got my organic placement, again, about halfway down that page. So in this situation, we've strategically planned out Tabasco's ad spend in a way that it isn't just about how do I drive new product innovation through the sponsored display unit in the middle of the page. It's not just about how I'm pushing the traditional hot sauce in the top and in my organic. It's about how it's all working together to drive the portfolio and to own the real estate. So in this particular instance, this is where when, irregardless of that paid or that organic click, we're seeing a 22% uptake in the PDP conversion rate, meaning that we're driving relevancy for this brand across multiple products to help them drive ultimate conversion, not just for a singular SKU, but across the portfolio. So I've given you some stats, some amazing lifts and numbers, but really, how am I quantifying it? How are we quantifying these efforts? And really, it is, and it's been talked about, the siloed data and it living in different places is in the fragmentedness of data is what really ends up being the prohibitor of brands being successful to really maximize how their retail media investments are working harder and smarter for them. And so at the Acosta Group, a lot of what we talk about is how do we drive harmonization of that data? So how do we look at what's happening in paid, what's happening in organic, and look at all of the different suites, the retail media networks, the tools, the platforms out there, to really then tell us what are the signals, what are the automations, how can I infuse AI into this algorithm? Because if you can't harmonize it, it's only as good as its disparate parts. And so what we've done, because there and again, another topic that has been discussed, the buy, build, or rent. We've gone sort of a hybrid of we've taken the buy-ish-rent and really talked about with all of these partners, how do we tap into your APIs, but how do we use our own unified centralized dashboarding to really then create the alerting and the signaling for how these things can truly work together.